My name is Ariana, and I was 27 years old when I met William. It happened at a friend's wedding. I noticed him from across the room, and when he walked over and we started talking, something felt right. We spoke for hours that night about our lives, our dreams, our fears. The next day, he called me. Then he called the day after that. Soon, talking to William became the best part of my day. We had coffee together, watched movies, took long walks. He was patient and kind, and he made me feel truly understood. I fell in love with him, and he loved me in return. One evening in the park, he stopped walking, took both my hands, and asked me to marry him. My heart felt like it would burst. I said yes without a second thought. We had a small wedding with the people closest to us. Standing beside William that day, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. I was ready for the life I had always imagined, full of warmth, partnership, and happiness. But reality after the wedding was not the dream I had pictured. The problem had a name, and her name was Claudia. She was William's mother, and she lived nearby. Almost every day, without calling ahead, she would walk through our front door as if the house belonged to her. Sometimes she brought food. More often, she brought opinions, instructions, and an invisible sense of ownership over her son. She told William when to sleep, what to wear, what to eat, and William listened. Not like a man who had built his own life, but like a boy who had never left home. I tried to be patient. I tried to be kind. I smiled. I stayed quiet. I cooked and cleaned and kept the house peaceful. But Claudia barely spoke to me. She talked about me as if I were not standing right there in the room. Slowly, without realizing it, I began to disappear inside my own home. The house that was supposed to be ours felt like hers, but William's attention belonged to her every time she walked through the door. One afternoon at lunch, Claudia looked at me and said, "Ariana, you are lucky to be William's wife. Many women wanted him." I said nothing, but her words settled into my chest like cold stones. As the weeks passed, William began coming home late more often. His answer was always the same. He had been with his mother. I did not feel jealous of another woman. I felt invisible beside his own family. One night, I finally told him the truth. I told him I felt lonely. I told him his mother's constant presence made me feel like a guest in my own marriage. He sighed and said I was being too sensitive, that his mother only meant to help. He did not hear me, or maybe he did not want to. I began crying at night when he was asleep. I started asking myself a question I never thought I would ask. Was this marriage really meant for me? After one very painful argument, I made a decision. I packed a bag quietly one night, planning to leave before William woke up. But in the morning, something stopped me. I felt unwell. A strange feeling that I could not explain. Almost without thinking, I took a pregnancy test and sat on the cold bathroom floor waiting. When I looked at the result, my hands were shaking. Parzit, I was going to have a baby. Tears fell down my face, but not from sadness, from something deeper, something fragile and full of light. a baby. Our baby. I pressed my hand to my stomach and made a silent decision. I would stay. This child was my reason to try one more time. That afternoon, I cleaned the house carefully and cooked William's favorite meal, chicken and rice. I lit candles on the dining table and prepared everything with love, planning to tell him that evening. For the first time in months, I felt hope. Then the front door swung open. Claudia walked in, as she always did, without knocking. She stepped into the living room and froze when she saw the candles and the dinner. "What is this?" she demanded. I took a slow breath and told her the truth. I was pregnant. I was having a baby. For a moment, the room was completely silent. Then she laughed, a hard and ugly sound, and told me it could not possibly be William's child. She called me a liar. She said I had done this to trap her son. Before I could speak, before I could even breathe, she raised her hand and slapped me hard across the face. The pain was sharp, the shock was worse. I stood frozen, my hand pressed to my burning cheek, tears streaming down my face. I was William's wife. I was carrying his child, and his mother had just hit me in my own home. I do not know how long I stood there. Then the front door opened again, and William walked in. He stopped and took in the whole scene. The dinner, the candles, me standing there with tears on my face and my hand against my cheek. His mother in the center of the room, still shaking with anger. "What is happening?" he asked. "She slapped me," I whispered. William turned to his mother. He asked her directly if she had hit me. She did not deny it. She told him she had done it because I was lying, because I was trying to trap him. She told him the baby could not be his. Then William looked at me. He saw my red cheek and my wet eyes and the way I was trembling. And then he said something I had stopped believing he would ever say. I believe Ariana Claudia's face went pale with rage. She told him that if he chose me over her, he was no longer her son. William was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "If that is the choice, then I am not your son," she screamed. She said terrible things, and then she left, slamming the door so hard the walls seemed to shake. William came to me and held me. He said he was sorry. He said it over and over. We stood in that quiet room, surrounded by candles and a cooling dinner, and we held each other for a long time. After that night, Claudia went silent. She did not call. William did not reach out to her either, and the house, for the first time, felt like ours. We began talking again, really talking, the way we had at the very beginning. William apologized for all the months he had not seen how much pain I was carrying. He promised me that I would never feel invisible again. It was not an easy healing, but it was a real one. We went to every doctor's appointment together. We saw our baby on the screen, a small, flickering image that made us both cry. 8 months later, our son was born. William held him for the first time and looked at me with eyes full of something I had almost given up, hoping to see: gratitude, love, presence. "You gave me everything," he said. Several weeks after our son came home, my phone rang. It was Claudia. She asked quietly if she could see the baby. William told me it was entirely my decision. After a long pause, I said yes. She arrived looking thinner, quieter, older somehow. I brought her to the baby's room and watched her face as she looked at her grandson for the first time. Her eyes filled with tears. Then she turned to me and said she had been wrong. Wrong about me, wrong about the baby, wrong about everything. She asked me to forgive her. I did not cry. I did not argue. I simply nodded. That was enough. She understood now, and that was what mattered. Things between us never became warm or close, but they became peaceful. She called before every visit. She respected our home. She was quiet and grateful for the time she was given, and William never left my side again. Sometimes the family you marry into tries to break you, but sometimes, if love is strong enough and honest enough, it finds a way through. Even when everything feels like it is falling apart, a single act of courage, staying when it is hardest, can change everything. Family is not only about blood, it is about who stands beside you when the door finally closes and the house becomes your own.